Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishnaya. Welcome to the concluding phase of the Institute's Foundation Day celebrations this evening. Dear audience, long before the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Golpark, came into existence, even when the area was but a big jungle, in 1934, Swami Akhandanandaji Maharaj, the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, came to the nearby South End Park, a short distance from where we are sitting just now. Suddenly, he pointed to the area where this institution, this Ramakrishna Mission of Culture, stands today. And he made a prediction. এদিকে ঠাকুরের বিরাট কাজ হবে. Thakur's great work will be done here. A prophet's prophecy cannot go wrong as we see it today. Incidentally, the idea of the Institute of Culture was conceived when Swami Akhandanandaji Maharaj was the president of the Ramakrishna Order of Monks. However, the institute was declared open on 29 January 1938 at Albert Hall in the College Street area. Later, it shifted to 19 Keshav Chandra Street and then to Wellington Square and next to Rasha Road, and finally settled at the present site at Gold Park in 1962. So here we are. Now the Vedic chanting by the monks of the Institute will mark the beginning of this evening's program.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahabiryam Karavavahai Tejasvinabadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Medha Devi Jushamana Naagad Vishvachi Bhadra Sumanasyamana Tvaya Jushta Nudamana Duruktan Brihad Badema Bidate Subira Tvaya Jushta Rishir Bhavati Devi Tvaya Brahma Gata Shri Rutatvaya Tvaya Jushtas Chitram Bindate Vasusano Jushasvadravino Namedhe Medham Mahindro Dadatu Medham Devi Saraswati Medham me Ashvina Bhubhabadhatang Pushkarasraja Apsarasu Chaya Medha Gandharveshu Chayan Manaha Daivim Medha Saraswati Samam Medha Surabhir Jushataga Swaha Amam Medha Surabhir Vishwarupa Hiranyavarna Jagati Jagamya ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्ममाना सामां मेधा सुप्रतीकाजुषन्ताम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
With the Vedic hymn chanted by the monks, the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Golpark, once again heartily welcomes you all to the concluding phase of its 85th Foundation Day celebrations. On this auspicious occasion, we are very happy to have with us Srimat Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj, the executive head of the internationally acclaimed Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Math. Most revered General Secretary Maharaj will kindly preside over the meeting today. It's a joy that Dr. Gautam Roy, a scholar extraordinary from Kyoto University of Advanced Sciences, Japan, is here on the dais as this year's Foundation Day speaker. Also on the dais are Swami Suparnanandaji, the Secretary of the Institute, and Justice Pinaki Chandra Ghose, the Vice President of the Managing Committee of Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, the first Lokpal of India and former Judge of Supreme Court of India, Justice Ghose will propose vote of thanks today. Now the Secretary Maharaj of the Institute will extend felicitations to the dignitaries on the dais, and that will be followed by his address of welcome, also giving a glimpse of the multifarious activities of the Institute during the year 2022 through its more than 12 wings. Revered Maharaj.
Om Janani Sharadang Devi Ramakrishnam Jagat Guru Padapadmitayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmu. So I heartily welcome you all to the 85th Foundation Day of the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture. By the grace of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, Srimat, Sarada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda, this institute has completed its 85th year of eventful existence. On the Foundation Day, today, we heartily welcome you all to the program. We are very much grateful to Srimat Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj, the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission, to be with us as the President of today's function. We offer my respectful pranams to Revered Maharaj. We welcome Professor Gautam Roy of Kyoto University of Advanced Sciences, Japan, in our midst. He will deliver this year's Foundation Day Oration. on a very interesting subject on Swami Vivekananda and science in general. I also express my regards to him for accepting our request to be the Foundation Day orator. We also welcome Justice Pinaki, Chandra, Ghose. As you have already heard, he is the first Lokpal of India and also Supreme Court Justice. He is our Vice President of the Managing Committee. We welcome also the members of the Managing Committee present in the hall. The senior most Vice President of the mission of the Managing Committee of the Ashrama, and Mr. Ananda Mitra is present. I especially welcome him. I am extremely happy to see our monastic brothers from Belur Math as well as from different branch centers. Several heads of the centers are with us. Most cordial welcome to you, brothers. We also extend our heartiest welcome to Matajis present in the hall. So the institute had its beginning, humble beginning in 1938, in some rented houses in College Street area. It changed its home several times. And then it rose first to eminence and finally settled at this present site in 1962. So our stress is on culture. The Institute of Culture, earmarked for spreading culture and culture alone. That is, we are bound to help people develop their mind towards introspection and develop their intellect towards enlightenment, both reinforcing one another and ultimately resulting in spiritual illumination. It is not that we don't need any sound body, but if we have only sound body, thereby do not take care of our mind and intellect, we are just like cattle put in a shed. So our mind has to grasp the very goal of our life. It is mind which has the greater power to control our emotions. By controlling it, we can direct it towards the fulfillment of life's goal, realization of the self, consciousness, Atman, soul, as we say. And here, Swami has given us a definite direction. He has viewed it even in 1897, that you cannot know even the chair without referring to yourself. And science then was progressing towards finding out the last state of matter. And ultimately, they discovered that matter does not exist in the universe. It has gone beyond the space. That's why becomes indivisible. And Swamiji here came to fulfill the gap. He said that you do not know where it has gone, and you don't have any concept of an entity which is greater than space. That entity is called prana. It has entered into your prana. From that to mind, that to intellect. And when intellect is illumined, we have the vision. Shuddha buddhi, shuddha man. They are the product of shuddha karma. The karma is at the base. We have to purify our karma by making it seva or service done in spirit of sacrifice. That's the connection. So mind is all that we have to count the most in a way. So the material universe around us has at the base unity. What is that unity called? It is again consciousness, self. And what is the essence of human beings? It is again unity. It is experienced in the deep sleep state called consciousness or Atman Chaitanya. So we have unity in the universe, unity in human beings. And this unity is called divinity. And he says, each soul is divine, potentially divine. There we have the unity. Even the trees, birds, beasts, not human beings alone. If we say that there is human unity that Swamiji discovered, we speak half of the truth, not the full one. Everybody has got a soul. Each soul is potentially divine. That unity is in divinity. And when man is moving towards his highest realization, there he also comes to this divinity, divinity and divinity. So man coming from different backgrounds, different religions, so their ultimate goal is to become pure, to become divine. So all the religious sects have common goal. They all become the protagonists of all faiths. They want to become divine. Purity is the essence. Here also the same thing, the purity, divinity, same thing. So we have the grand unification in Swamiji. And this all is to be attained by controlling mind. Mind is the only vehicle towards that. Because we meditate mind. We meditate because we want to keep mind concentrated towards that direction. Go and find it out. Mind be pure, we have pure buddhi and pure Shuddha Atma, pure Atma. Anyway, this is the goal. We have to promote this very knowledge. We have to interpret our existence, universe's existence, and the goal of each religious sect present in the world. And Sri Ramakrishna did that. We have Jatamat Tatapat. And in human kingdom, we should look around ourselves in this universe and we see only God, so we have to serve, knowing everything is the manifestation of the divine. Shiva, Jnana, Jiva, Seva, and Jatamat, Tatapat. These are the two things which can make humanity, which can make this world a better place for all us to live in. We have to flourish towards that only. We have to grow towards that only. And so we have to give food to culture, aesthetics, morality and ethics. Morality and ethics, they put together and we get a subject called aesthetics. It is nothing but morality and ethics juxtaposed. That is it. So when we say that we have to foster and promote culture, that we have this great truth behind. We are not going to neglect body. Sound body is a necessity for that. So it automatically comes. It's a harmonious development. It is very difficult. Mind is volatile. You cannot predict what your mind thinks just now and what it would be thinking next moment. So to make it unidirectional and consistent is our only effort, and this is the only capital on which we can depend for the realization of our ultimate goal in human life. Anyway, keeping this in view, we have so many areas to serve. We have one school of languages, so about 15,848 students enrollment. It's not a matter of joke. It's more than 16 or 17, 18,000 of people are coming every day to this institute. But as Swami Suviranandaji told us, but here when we just enter the campus, we do not feel that so much of activities are being going on here. It is so calm and quiet. That it is all for the grace of the Mother. We have 20 languages taught over here, 15 foreign and 5 Indian. And recently we started a civil service coaching unit. The Center for Indological Studies and Research. It's a total number of 26 scholars, undertook 21 postdoctoral and 2 predoctoral studies. It also conducted, among others, a 10-month certificate course on Indology. You just look at it. A 16-week course on some fundamental concepts of Indian philosophy, a 10-month certificate course on Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement, a 10-month certificate course on major religions of the world, a 2-tier functional Sanskrit course, and also 9-month UNESCO supported, approved program on international understanding for human unity, IUHU. So our students, not students I should say, our devotees around, they do not have enough information about the benefit that may accrue to them from the study of this IUHU. We all are indebted to Professor Dr. Vikas Chandra Sannal, who was serving at that time, serving the UNESCO at that time in its educational field. So he made it a subject over here. So we are all thankful to him. The department also organized a couple of seminars, including a 3-day international seminars. Every year, 2 or 3 seminars. One international seminar is a must, another 2 or 3, sometimes 4 we did arrange earlier. And Suviranandaji gave us a warning, not so many, only one international, and possibly one national, not more than that. Library, we have it is foremost among the public libraries in eastern India, so to say. It has 3 wings: general wing, children's library, and junior section. You all know that. Members of the library can browse 24,000 periodicals and can download articles for reading as well as printing. A number of upgrades were added to the library during the period under review. Our publication department, this department is the Center for Indological Studies and Research, brought out books like Chronology of Events in the Life of Swami Vivekananda, Sanghamitra Chaudhary, and Srimati Dr. Shamoli Chaudhary. They contributed a lot towards this publication. Veded Purichiti, Science, Violence and Human Civilizations, Mahajibanir Jal Chavi, Vivek Dudito Udbhasito Subhash Chandra, to name just a few. Several books were reprinted. The Museum and Art Gallery, as well as Sarada Devi School of Fine Arts and Crafts. Other than providing practical training on arts and crafts to the students opting different courses, this department held several exhibitions around the year. Annual exhibition, we can mention it. Also exhibitions on dolls of Bengal and stamps of the world collected by Srimat Swami Gitanandaji Maharaj. It may also be noted that a new course on the Ramayana and its message around the world was introduced in 2022. The department was conducted 1 year Dhrupad classical vocal classes and Yogasana courses. The youth program department, it organized more than 100 value-based educational and cultural programs throughout the year in 13 districts of West Bengal. Further, 2 guardian conferences and 1 teachers' conference were held. A total number of 13,725 copies of value-oriented books were distributed free of cost among the participating delegates. Also, this youth cell held the weekly Vivekananda Anushilon classes on Saturdays. Cultural activities. You are all familiar with these activities. The Department of Cultural Activities held various programs throughout the year to promote Indian culture and heritage. During the period under review, 117 endowment lectures, 18 public lectures, 12 scriptural classes, 30 cultural programs and 49 collaboration programs were held. Special mention must be made of series of cultural competitions as well as test examination on India. Values and Ramakrishna mission among the schools and college students of almost all the districts of West Bengal. These were organized as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav this year. And also to mark the celebration of 125th anniversary of Ramakrishna mission. We have one Gadadhar Patshala, you have noted, Vivekananda Shastra Pariseva Prakalpa and welfare activities. Presently, 76 children from underprivileged families, mostly in slum areas, study at our Patshala. And the amount spent is rupees 8,33,000 almost. Under Shastra Pariseva Prakalpa, 50 children from class 1 to class 7 were well taken care of. So we have milk distribution and other small packets, as called snacks, early in the morning, especially for the children and their mothers. Living in and around us. And the amount spent was 7.8 lakh. The Institute also regularly extended medical support to the deserving patients, pecuniary help. We had spent 1 crore, rupees 1 crore and 50 lakh. It's breakups, scholarship. To the students on merit means basis, 1.10 crore. Milk distribution to slum children, 7.68 lakhs. Girls Patshala, 8.33 lakhs. Medical help, 12 lakh, 31,000. Pecuniary help to the needy, 9.28. Charity to participants, the children of our participants, of our employees, 1.67 lakhs. So the total comes to 1.50 lakhs. So this amount we do not get from any government grants, minded. It is our own collection. We take this opportunity to thank you, to say thank you to our donors, well-wishers, and dear participants, our brother monks of the Institute, for their kind contributions to very noble cause. We earnestly pray to the Holy Trinity that we may hold on to the ideals of this practical Vedanta, Vedanta in practice. One word at last, word of appreciation to the government of, say, India and the government of West Bengal. So usually we have to spend more than 15 crores per year. And the central government's contribution maybe around 8 lakhs, 8 crores. We have to pay a little over 4 crores per year, our contribution. And the rest amount comes from state government. And both the governments are very much kind enough to grant well in advance. And we have nowadays very little worry. We have to think, we have to have no worries and anxieties at all towards receiving their grants in time. That is a great help. And we are thankful to them for that. With these few observations, once again I heartily welcome you all to this evening program. Thank you. Namaste.
Now is the time for Foundation Day oration by Dr. Gautam Rai. Dr. Gautam Rai has an astonishingly diversified background and career, an alumnus of Presidency College, Calcutta. He had MSc degree in chemistry from Calcutta University, LLB from Delhi University, MA in economics from Boston University, and PhD degree on economic geography from Boston University, where he taught between 2000 and 2003. Earlier, he joined Indian Revenue Service in 1979 and served the government of India as Under Secretary, Ministry of Finance, and Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Social Welfare. He also played a great role in tax reforms and India's economic reforms in early 90s. After retirement from civil service in 2015, he joined Graduate School of Management, Kyoto University, Japan, as a chair professor, and later he became a full-time professor in charge of International Atomic Research Institute at Kyoto University, Japan, and got Kyoto University's Best Professor Award in 2019. A big clap to the speaker. And he's also the founder, Vice President of Asian Institute of Public Policy and Development Studies, Kolkata. Now his passion is scientific spirituality, Swami Vivekananda, and inclusive development, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikash. May I now call upon Professor Gautam Roy for the Foundation Day oration on what is scientific spirituality, how scientific spirituality as envisaged by Swami Vivekananda can promote and sustain inclusive development of human societies. Dr. Roy.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Respected Suviranananda Maharaj, respected Suparnananda Maharaj, Honorable Pinaki Chandra Ghose Mahashaya, dedicated monks of this great mission and mott, Ramakrishna mission and mott, fellow brothers and sisters pursuing spiritual inspirations from different sources, staff and officials of this great institute, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a very great pleasure to be associated with this event. Thank you, Suparnananda Maharaj, for bringing me up to this portal, hallowed portal, I should say, and talking about a subject I have come to love very deeply. The basic reason why I love very deeply was, still is, that I was searching for the foundational route for inclusive development and growth. In Boston University, I have shown mathematically, that was a mathematical model, that growth of an economy, inclusive growth, can come from growth of accessibility to various resources, especially knowledge capital resources. That is common resources. That's not knowledge capital in the sense of technology, but the shared knowledge and human network who develop and disseminate this shared knowledge. But I was a little stuck. How would it come? I had reached up to breakdown of the structure of privileges in the institutions in the society that produce, that govern, I should say, value-generating activities, but how that structure and system break down, the privileged structure of system break down, other than the revolutionary path, which is the political path that has been now shown to be not sustainable. So I was looking for a sustainable cultural institutional path to not only put in place the or enable common people to put in place inclusive structure and system, but also sustain it. So I have reached this point now. It's very interesting as you will see. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, the question slide, maybe, yeah. Maybe go back to the first slide. Question slide is, I would only say that I have to start with the definition of spirituality and distinguish spirituality from religion, and then define scientific spirituality, and then I'd say how Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality can promote and sustain inclusive development of human societies. Next slide, please. Well, spirituality, there is no computer here? I'd go there. Okay. I'll stand from here. And there's a mic already, so no problem. Light কমিয়ে দেখা এটা দেখা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট The serious topic. I don't want to stray here and there so that the time given is. So, spirituality refers to manifestation of prana. Don't get stuck with prana. I have shown in my paper that even if you think there is nothing like prana but some cosmic energy out there which we don't know about, but nonetheless there exists some energy, that will be all. But prana actually is, why I say that prana is important, because it is talked about in our very old literature, that is Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, that prana that I am talking about is like that parasya shakti vividhaiva shrurote. Shavabhiki jnana bal kriya. So thank you Suparnananda Maharaj for pointing out this particular sloka. Then I also think that prana is what we all the time pray. Shakti bhute shanatani gunasroye gunamoyi. That's prana. And if that is spiritually ended there, then I would have been a little skeptical. It has nothing to do with inclusive development, but it doesn't really end there. It is manifested in behavior, capability and functioning. This BCF attributes, which is in real life, real material life, and that generates value. So that is where the link is coming from. So I have come to my thesis of human capital, physical capital and technology through this particular BCF functioning. So I have come back to the real world. From prana to real world I have connected. Now, what is religion? And how is it different from spirituality? Religion is spirituality plus rituals and practices performed in a perfunctory or routine manner. So that it reminds me of the Tagore song, Tomar pujar chhole tomaye bhule thaki na. Now, the interesting part of that is, this Tagore wrote that fuler mala, deeper alo, dhuper dhoa, pechon hote পাইনি সুযোগ চরণ ছোঁয়ার স্তবের বাণীর আড়াল টানি তোমায় ঢাকি. That is the problem. Puranas have created the problem. In fact, Vivekananda had talked about this in practical Vedanta lecture. Vedas have two components, knowledge component and ceremonial component, and ceremonies have created problem. That's why knowledge component is so very important. Advaita Vedanta has brought that out. And that is exactly what we are talking about here. We don't want to, tomar pujar chole ami tomake bhule thakte chai na. So Swamiji's religion, and in fact most of us, our religion is our spirituality. And that is what is important, you have to remember, because there is a discourse about the Descartes' divide or Cartesian divide between religion and spirituality. And we'll come to that, whether that divide exists between spirituality and religion or not. Okay, we'll come to the next slide, please. This is actually one of the Swami, Samarpanananda, sorry about that. Samarpanananda Maharaj, published in IGM volume. He wrote, I'll talk about that only. Science is all about this world, and religion is all about transcending this world in its entirety. Now, if you define religion like that, then of course there will be no bridge between religion and science. And the problem is with this definition. And this definition is actually Sanatana Dharma, an advanced textbook of Hindu religion ethics, actually controverts with this definition. It says that religion is defined as that which holds together the peoples of the universe. Yeah, dharon kore, dharon. Dharon kore rakhe. And it is the very principles of a healthy and beneficent life. Now, if you go there, of a healthy and beneficent life, the value comes here. And then development and all those growth theory economics comes there through BCF, okay? Next, please. Then Swamiji, religion doesn't consist of doctrines or dogmas, but in what you realize, internalize. Mukosto noy, internalize, realize. My religion is to learn. My religion means expansion. No narrowness, expansion. And expansion means realization and perception in the highest sense. Science is the search for truth in the external world. Religion is the search for truth in the internal world. Truth, what is truth? Truth is the scientific, spiritual realities, because realities, okay? We don't know out there abstract truth, but realities, we know about realities in this life. So truth for us is scientific and spiritual realities that we experience and internalize as valuable. Okay? Now, Swamiji says, if this is so, then how do we make sure that what is said in the scripts are truth? Then he said, do the scrutiny of reasons. Very clearly, the scrutiny of reasons will keep out the dross and schemings in all those dhuper dhoa, all those fuler mala and all those dross, the ceremonies and rituals will be taken out of the religious literature. I'm not saying those are not valuable. Some people get tremendous spiritual energy by just sitting there and thinking about the pure and solemn occasion when there is the dhuper dhoa and diperalo. That's okay. For them it is okay. But most people routinely, perfunctorily do it through the priests. That is what we are talking about. That's religion. That may be religion, but that's not spirituality. So if a religion is destroyed by that scrutiny of reasons, it's a good for us. That's what he says. And the sooner it happens, the better. And that is there, actually, he says essential parts of religion will emerge triumphant out of this investigation. Thus, we now know that science and spirituality do converge in the realm of what? In the realms of valuable truth, reality. Next, please. So now we know spirituality is the supramaterial, not material alone. It transcends matter. It spans from matter to supramatter. Supramatter means it goes beyond matter. Supramaterial energy and energy or power of mind and intellect as manifested in an individual's natural BCF attributes. So natural BCF attributes are unselfish behavioral disposition and the diverse range of individual capabilities and functioning that produce value for the poor and alleviate their sufferings. So focal actors are, so now I bring, see this. Focal actors are individuals. Now I bring focal actors. Why? Because spirituality is the mother of focal actor. What's the value of spirituality after all? It begets focal actors. That's the value of spirituality. Who are these focal actors? Focal actors are individuals or their collective organizations, Ramakrishna Modern Mission, that develop natural BCF attributes in individuals. Natural unselfish behavior. Natural means not just merely learned. Natural means it comes automatically. It's part of your bones, so to say. So natural unselfish behavior, but you cannot do anything. So I tell you one thing, very interesting. In civil service training period, somebody has said, why don't you attend conduct rules classes? I said, I don't have to, because I know what good conduct is. Why should I have to read this? So I will never actually violate. I never attended anything that is not interesting, right from my presidency college days. So I never attended, that's very boring. So the point is natural unselfish behavior, natural ability to comprehend shared knowledge resources, and dedicated efforts to increase their accessibility among common people. This is BCF, natural BCF that I am talking about. Spirituality gives this natural BCF only among focal actors. Otherwise, because focal actors are, we'll see that, they are already, they have already got the connection with the prana. Forget about prana, if you are a non-believer, they are connected with some supramaterial energy or force, okay? But where do these natural BCF attributes spring from? That's what I say. This you have to remember, that although I am saying prana, but it is some supramaterial energy or resource that is cosmic in origin. So spirituality originates in an individual's access to prana, and Swamiji actually defined prana. In the context of his Raj Yoga, that chapter 3, pranayam. In that chapter, he said this prana is the primordial force in this universe that manifests in nature, in non-living, and Suparnananda Maharaj was saying, even non-living and all living beings, all beasts are also endowed with prana. They can be connected with prana. So this is the definition of spirituality. Okay, next please. And the value of spirituality is the mother of focal actors. Next please. So did I, what was one slide before this, just to make sure? Yeah, next, all right. Next please. So now I bring you a very important thing that is called knowledge, inspirations, thoughts and experiences. This is value producing, value generating, actually our value generating resource. Knowledge, inspiration, thoughts and experiences. Kites. There are spiritual kites and scientific kites. A necessary condition for people to be free from suffering is their free energy, free agency, free-spirited agency, okay? Agents who are free-spirited. They are not bound by any attachments like becoming famous, becoming Mukesh Ambani, or being a very, very propertied man, highly propertied man. No. I'll be myself. I'll be free. I'm not attached to anything, or if not detached from everything. Okay. No, now free agency generates value for all from the agent's scientific spirituality, which is constitute of agent's scientific spirituality. No, see this. free agency is developed by focal actors through their natural BCF. I talked about natural BCF. And from natural BCF, they go to kites, both spiritual and scientific. And these spiritual and scientific kites, when they converge, at least partially, scientific spirituality happens or emerges. And this convergence happens how? Or under what conditions? If spiritual kites are subjected to scrutiny of reasons by two principles of scientific process enunciated by Swamiji in his famous lecture at London on the 17th November 1896. This is part 3, Practical Vedanta lecture. Again, Swami Suparnandaji, after my first talk, he came to the dais, from particular to general, general to universal. Oh, I said it's very difficult for people to understand, so I avoided it. But this time, I think I must say that because this is what this is ontology actually, ontology and the epistemology of knowledge. Establishing ontological relationship by referring a particular set of spiritual kites to a general set of spiritual BCF attributes. So BCF is the precursor to kites. Think about like that. Or general form of kites, particular form of kites, particular form is kites, and the general form is BCF, and the universal form is natural BCF. So that's the connection. So once you establish it, it becomes scientific, he says, and that's what I have done actually. I established this. Establishing ontological relationship by referring, you will see the table, actually table gives that relationship. Establishing ontological relationship by referring a particular set of spiritual kites to a general set of spiritual BCF of attributes, which are referred to a universal set of natural BCF attributes. And epistemology. He didn't use these words, actually, ontology, epistemology, he didn't use those words, but it is actually that, ontology as epistemology. And I have inserted value in it. Because if you don't insert value, then it doesn't become meaningful. Practical Vedanta has to be meaningful, right? So the epistemological part is establishing endogenous epistemology. He talked about endogenous, he didn't use the word endogenous. He said something like this, that something has to be explained by the very nature of that thing. That's what he said. If you have to, the scientific explanation of anything A has to come from the very nature of A. That is called, actually, that's the economics we say, that is endogenous model of, so endogenous epistemology of spiritual kites that explain how value can be generated from spirituality, and the explanation comes from the nature of kites. Endogenous explanation comes from the nature of kites and BCF attributes of the poor themselves. Because poor are actually getting these spiritual kites and scientific kites, and then they are engaged in a collective action led by focal actors to institute inclusive structure and systems of value generating activities in the society. Next, please. Now I have given this diagram actually, that explains actually what I said. Everything can be scientific, spiritual, BCF and kites. That is the scientific spirituality is all about this. The content is scientific, spiritual, BCF and kites, and they are derived from prana. The fundamental base is prana. So prana or great spirit, individuals access that spirit, they get natural BCF. Then from natural BCF, they access shared knowledge. Shared knowledge, if it is a scientific shared knowledge like physics, chemistry, textbooks, we get scientific BCF. And then they get more of this scientific knowledge, research material and all, they extend their scientific BCF and scientific kites. That is extended scientific BCF and scientific kites. Now, if the shared knowledge is spirituality, like complete works of Swami Vivekananda, very lovely, lovely, lovely literature. So if you, I really am amazed to see that, how beautiful. I mean, this is so much science, amazing. That's what I told Suparnanandaji one day. He said, hey, can you talk about this? That's how I came to Sivananda Hall, now I am here. So this is so amazing, actually. Access shared knowledge from natural BCF, founded upon natural BCF, access shared knowledge and spirituality, complete works of Swami Vivekananda. You will be like me, spiritual BCF you will develop. I have developed some, believe me. And then you access spiritual knowledge resources, then you will have extended spirit. More I will continue to develop, I will have extended spiritual BCF and spiritual kites. And now I am able to converge at least partially my scientific BCF and scientific kites with spiritual BCF and spiritual. Partially I am doing it. I have got some scientific spirituality in me now, but this is a continual expansion, okay? That's what we are. Next, please. Now this is another diagram. I have split up this into thoughts and inspiration and knowledge and experiences. So convergence can happen at the level of thoughts and inspiration. Convergence can happen at the level of knowledge and experience. That's all this diagram shows. I have given some examples. You can read it later. I have given specific examples actually. Next please. Now this table is very important. I don't know whether I have time to do this. Anything, any knowledge or anything, if you want to know it completely, you have to know it at 3 levels or 3 categories. That is, you have to know its constituent parts, elements. What it is, what does it consist of? So that's basically kind of ontology. Methodology or practice of explaining cause-effect linkage. The methodology or practice of explaining, that is kind of epistemology. And then value. So there is no meaning of doing this ontology and epistemology if it's not valuable. So there is no point in flogging a dead horse, as they say. This is not dead horse, actually. So the generates value. So at these 3 levels, if in any one level it converges, then we develop scientific spirituality at any one level. So what are this? Science contents are material factors and forces in natural, biological and social phenomena. Social science is a science actually. So I really did that. I realized it's no different than pure science. I did chemistry, I did economics, and then broader, because I brought in social variables, I went into economic geography discipline so that I can bring in social forces and factors. So I have done this. And I know that the science, social science is very, very, because tremendous value is generated from social science contents and elements. So contents are like human capital, technology, and physical capital. And now I am bringing in social capital, that network of human network of knowledge development and knowledge dissemination. Spirituality is about supramaterial factors and forces in individual spiritual BCF and kites. That's the content. And scientific spirituality is when they converge, and they converge through natural BCF. So content of actually scientific spirituality is natural BCF. The foundational thing, that diagram you remember, it gets directly from prana. It gets from prana or some cosmic energy, we don't know what it is. So that natural BCF is the constitutive element in scientific spirituality, along with, of course, its associated spiritual BCF and kites. I will skip this methodology. This is like theory and then yoga and meditative practices. But I will say that this is not actually, you don't have to do yoga and meditate. I have never done this. What I did was I read and try to internalize. I have never done yoga, never done meditation. So many people have told me. What I do, I read and try to internalize it. That's the second part. Reflecting deeply on spiritual phenomena learned from literatures and subjective name to the two principles of scientific reasonings. Vivekananda's practical Vedanta. I didn't know about it. He told me from general. So this is what I have done. And I don't have to do any yoga or meditation. And I had developed somehow some natural BCF. So that's, of course, all of you have, believe me. You don't know. Janti parona. All of you have, believe me. Explaining a particular set of scientific spiritual BCF and kites as the ultimate effect of a universal set of natural BCF attributes, which are explained by access to the universal prana. The prana is universal. Then value. Value has two components, intrinsic and instrumental. And value at individual level, value at social level. So all these, science gives all these values, but spirituality gives more intrinsic value rather than instrumental value. And it really gives some social value, because when I have read, I was not spiritual at all. I have read CWSP, the complete works of Swami Vivekananda and others. It spilled over. That knowledge spilled over to me. And I'm now trying to spill over that knowledge to all of you. So it has some social value. The spirituality has some social value. So intrinsic value for the individual spiritual practitioners, and if it can be disseminated among people, then it will have social value. Now, scientific spirituality comes when you give reason. Science, you introduce reason to spirituality. So introduce reason to spirituality, it becomes scientific spirituality. And how do you introduce reason? You show the cause and effect linkages, just as I have shown in that diagram. Cause-effect linkages right from the finer cause, that is the most universal cause, to the medium level cause, that is general cause, to the particular level cause, effect, sorry. So finer cause to the general effect of that finer cause, and then from general effect of that finer cause giving rise to becomes the cause for final effect of the particular kites and particular BCF attributes. Okay, next slide. So this is scientific spirituality for you. Now examples of Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality, examples. Now first I say that it's not only kites. For Swami Vivekananda it's very, very extraordinary actually. There's a set is higher, the set is actually wider. It includes insights. We don't have that insight. It includes insights. And what does it include? It includes realizations. So all these kites are there, 4 kites. I have only thought that it is appropriate for Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality. It's much different from my scientific spirituality. I will add insights and realizations. It's very, very important. So let us see examples. Next slide, please. So famous thing, scientific religion. He said scientific religion, exists something like scientific religion. He very clearly said this. Scientific religion means a religion that stands justified and robust upon scrutiny of reason and scientific investigation. I have already mentioned this. This is in CWSB, volume 1, page 366. The utility, the value producing, he didn't say value, he said utility. Yes, he talked about this. Utility of religion is in building up character, not economic value, but it is also associated with it. From building up of character, economic value comes. That is good and great for all, in abstaining from selfishness that adversely impacts all. And this is very important for this particular. utility of religion is very important for inclusive development. You will see this. Religions must also be inclusive. Otherwise, inclusive development will not happen. When religions have become thus broadened, their power for good will have increased 100-fold. So, vividoivo shruyate, parayasya shakti vividoivo shruyate means this parayasya is also hard in Allahu Akbar, is also hard in Amen, just as it is hard in Om Shanti, okay? So this is what inclusive religion is about. He talked about this. Then he said, in his letter dated January 1894, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. Then he was inspiring Maharaja Mysore for his free agency. If the poor boy cannot come to education, education may go to them. He is beseeching, actually, he is requesting. Then, this is, all of us like in Bengali, those days when we were in the portals of Presidency College, we like this. There is no such thing as fate. Napoleon crossed that fate line like that. There is no such thing as fate. There is nothing to compel us. What we have done, we can undo. So this is agency, the concept of agency. To be more free is the goal of our efforts, for only in perfect freedom there can be perfection. So these monks and respected Maharajas, they are free. Actually, right from their childhood, they have decided to be free. They can aspire to be perfect. And we will actually learn from them because they are already free. And we have a lot to learn from them. How they have left their family and totally dedicated to this mission. And that is the goal of our efforts, is to be free. Now at this stage, when you have made enough money, I am buying houses tomorrow. I'll tell my one house actually, I have already bought. I'll tell my wife, I am now free. I didn't give you any house so far because I was wandering about from Boston to here. I didn't have any house. Now I have given you a house. Now I am free. So this is, to be more free is the goal of our efforts, for only in perfect freedom can there be perfection. Next, please. Now, inclusive development. Inclusive development is essentially about developing inclusive, I have already talked about this, inclusive structures and systems of value generating activity, ISTSY. Inclusive STSY comes from doing away with STSY of power and privileges. So, now cause and effect, see this. Once that break down, power and privileges STSY, then inclusive STSY come. So Vivekananda talked about this. In the last 2 chapters of volume 1, I was surprised. It talks about only privileges. Last 2 chapters of volume 1. Such a wonderful thing. Now, whenever privilege is broken down, more and more light and progress come to a race. Privileges give rise to, this is all Vivekananda. Give rise to selfishness. Selfishness makes privileged men devils. Being devils, they tyrannize over the souls of unprivileged men. This is why Swamiji argued Vedanta preaches for breaking down privileges of power, wealth, intellect, and spiritual authority or priesthood. Money he didn't mention. He said that there is no, in India we are poor, there is no money, but now money has also come added to the list. Swamiji gave an empirical evidence to buttress this, his assertion. Buddhism had succeeded in abolishing caste system and breaking down the structure of privileges in ancient India for several centuries in the first millennium AD. And we know historically that those years were the best times of the nation. Next, please. So Swamiji's love and concern for the poor and suffering humanity reflects, this you will see, unique part of Swamiji. No other spiritual leader talked so much about poor. বহুরূপে সম্মুখে তোমার ছাড়ি কথা খুঁজেছ ঈশ্বর জীবে প্রেম করে যেই জন সেই জন সেবিছে ঈশ্বর we all know we don't need to translate then his letter to Perumal 1894 I do not believe in a god or religion which cannot wipe the widow's tears or bring a piece of bread to the orphan's mouth. Why should you go to seek for God? Aren't all the poor, the miserable, the weak gods? Why not worship them first? And why not serve them first? Mother Teresa. Just think about Mother Teresa. That's it. I am not... that's what she did. Next. Now the model. There's a mathematics behind this model. This is what I've done for my PhD. But the qualitative part of it is that inclusive development comes from, at the highest level, comes from, look at the lowest level of variables. Level of PCS means, I have not written here, PCS means public resources, C means P for public resources, C means common resources, S means social resources. PCS. So level of PCS is very important. Shared knowledge network, that is a common resource, shared knowledge, common resource. And ISTSY. These are the PCS that we are looking at. Accessibility to them drives even economic growth. I have shown it mathematically established, provided that the mathematics works like that, provided that there are complementarities between these accessed PCS and human capital. We know that there are already complementaries. And knowledge capital with accessed PCS. So if there are complementaries, then you will have this, actually, you drive this. Accessibility is the only factor. Focus on accessibility to resources. You will get everything. You don't have to do anything. So accessibility to PCS and accessibility to shared knowledge network. Accessibility to shared knowledge network gives you the BCF, that behavior capability and functioning. And from BCF you get the HKP, that is human capital, knowledge capital, and physical capital. And if this poor gets this accessibility to PCS, then their BCF increases, they can develop ISTSY through collective action. That is the next slide. So for collective action, you need free agency of focal actors. Free agency means unselfish functionings of free-spirited agents of change called focal actors. We argue that focal actors imbibe value-laden scientific spiritual BCF and kites of masters such as Swami Vivekananda and develop their own scientific spiritual BCF attribute of free agency. So masters, I didn't say spiritual because he is a spiritual scientific master actually. They act collectively for the development of such shared knowledge network, that is the free agents, and they develop this CSKN, that is shared knowledge network for common people, including MVP of course. Sustainable part, inclusive is common people, sustainable comes from MVP. Unless MVP gets, that is marginal and vulnerable population get access to these resources, there cannot be any sustainability. So forget about it. So if you can be inclusive actually without being sustainable if you forget about MVP, that is marginal and vulnerable population. Next slide please. Collective action for the development of ISTSY. So this is the main dynamic. There is a main dynamic for inclusive development. That is collective action. Access to shared knowledge network for common people by individuals among access by common people. Access to CSK by common people. instills in them an endogenous preference and choice for their collective action. Today, actually, these people think they're fatalists. They say nothing is going to change. Why bother about working for change collectively? In fact, they have no time also. Their time is very precious. But unless their endogenous preference changes endogenously, that, well, they hope, the audacity of hope. The audacity of hope can take them to change of their preference from, okay, in 2 minutes. So that is what collective action gathers momentum, resulting in the replacement of STSY and development of inclusive structures and systems that increase MVP's accessibility to common resources. So inclusive development dynamics stated above are sustained by free agency of focal actors and sustained strength of CPA, which includes marginal and vulnerable population. Next. I'm almost there in any case. This is the last slide, so 2 minutes is exactly there. So, okay. So the flow diagram is like this. Access to Swamiji's scientific spirituality, from that expansion of VCF of focal actors, only focal actors can absorb that, internalize it. Otherwise, I mean, we cannot do it, only focal. So access to, they can absorb it. So expansion of VCF of focal actors like them and development of their free agency. They are already free from darkness. So that's the Ramakrishna modern mission. Then collective action for development and dissemination of CSK, shared knowledge among MBA. This collective action we can add to that because we are in the knowledge sector, education sector. So collective action for development of dissemination of CSK among MVP. So focal actors and potential actors like us, we can join. The expansion of BCF of potential actors within MVP as they access. So once I come, I will bring some, I wish, and they will also, focal actors will bring some MVP, people from MVP into the collective action. They are potential actors, they access CSKN, that is Swamiji's complete works of Swami Vivekananda. CSKN is that, complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Development of that, then they develop their endogenous preference for joining collective actions against privileged structures and system. Development of ISTY then happens, development of ISTSY, once it breaks down. Sustainable increase in APCS. Once inclusive, structure and system is inclusive, then they get accessibility to PCS resources, even MVP. Then from their accessibility to PCS, they develop their BCF attributes and kites attributes. And then it is, once MVP develops that, this is sustainable. Inclusive development is sustainable. So conclusion is free agency of focal actors. Free agency of focal actors, inspired by Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality, is the fountainhead of inclusive and sustainable development dynamics of the human society. That's why I am here actually, to connect with them. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Professor. Starting with why you dived into the subject of scientific spirituality as emphasized by Swami Vivekananda, you went deeper and deeper into the given topic, making it an intellectually most stimulating one. Thank you, sir. Well, now is the time for the address of the president of today's meeting, Srimat Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj, widely known for his administrative acumen, practical spirituality, and heartwarming behavior to one and all. Revered Maharajji.
Very learned and respected Swami Suparnanandaji, the head of this esteemed institute. And while remembering him, I must congratulate him, his colleagues, monastic and lay, the learned members of the Board of Management here, for the fact that today we are here this evening on the occasion of the Foundation Day of this international institution. And also, very respected, Honorable Mr. Justice Retired Pinaki Ghose, who is former Lokpal, Chairman of Lokpal of India, the first chairman, so to say, and also former judge of Supreme Court of India, a very distinguished alumni of Ramakrishna Mission. And chief guest of the day, Professor Gautam Roy, respected dignitaries and devotees, beloved brother monks, respected Matajis from Shardamat. We were listening. We were in spellbound while listening to Mr. Roy. Today, we are supposed to, as Mr. Roy has already told you, deal with scientific spirituality as envisioned by Swami Vivekananda and its contribution to human development. Now, it's important to acknowledge one thing, that the qualifier scientific in the term scientific spirituality is in concession to the belief that there is such a thing as unscientific spirituality. Now, if somebody asks me, is there, I will certainly answer in affirmation. There are people who claim themselves to be spiritual, who claim themselves to be religionist, who even goes to the extent of claiming themselves to be Bhagavan, but they exploit people in the name of spirituality, and what they do is far from spirituality. Now, what exactly is spirituality? And what scientific spirituality means? I think we have got enough of tips from Professor Roy, but still I will try to give a lucid idea, very brief idea though, about what we call spirituality and what exactly maybe Suparnanandaji or Professor Roy meant by scientific spirituality. Now, what is spirituality? Spirituality is nothing to be exported or imported. We are spiritual. Swamiji says, had I been a householder, had I had a child, immediately after his birth, I would have put him in the cradle and told him, Tamosi Niranjana, thou art that. You are spiritual. I am spiritual. People at all phases of life, at all strata of life, they are spiritual. But how is that? Why then we call that he is spiritual and he is not? This is because of ignorance. Supposing some of us are going through a village road, and there is no light, and some, rope is there, serpentine-like, and we mistake it as Benoah's neck, and somebody from behind comes and he has a torch, he is a learned man, he is a wise man, he torches, lights the torch, and then we find that it is absolutely no serpentine, it is nothing to be afraid about it, it is a piece of rope. And that is called, in the term of Vedanta, adhas. Adhas is the reason why Jack, Dick, John, Ram, and Rahim thinks that they are poles apart, but they are not. Holy Mother says, very important thing, perhaps the synopsis of what we call scientific spirituality here today, she says, Sharat, the Brahmajnani, the first secretary of Ramakrishna Math and Mission, Sri Ramakrishna accosted him as incarnation of Saint Peter, and this man is my son, Sharat is my son. And then she doesn't stop there, she says Amjad as well. That notorious dacoit, Amjad, he also is her son. Sharat is awakened, Amjad is sleeping. That is the difference. Sharat has entered into the bliss of ecstasy, and Amjad has walked right on the opposite direction. That is the difference. So that's why spirituality is in us. Spirituality is in you. Spirituality is in me. If it is not so, then I am constrained to say that Vivekananda was a mistake, was a blunder. Vivekananda, he was a rishi. Sri Ramakrishna says that one day in the fleet of ecstasy, I went to the undivided zone, celestial zone, and there I found 7 rishis absorbed in deep meditation in ecstasy. I assumed the form of a small boy, went to one of them, clasped his neck with affection, and told him that I am going to the world, you follow me. And the rishi, in the twinkling of an eye, looked at me and immediately could understand that this boy is the chosen ideal of his. And he nodded his head. Now seeing Narendra, I can see that he is that rishi. So anyway, spirituality begins from Atato Brahma Jigyasa, from query. The spiritual realm begins from query. And that is why the first line is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That's the question. When Jaggobalko thought that I am above 50, well, I have to go to Vanaprastha, Pancha Sodhe Vanang Brajet. And he went to his wives, 2 wives he had. So younger wives, he told that, look, I am going to the Vanaprastha because that is the injunction of the scripture. I am 50. And this is the property. Property, permanent property, movable property, and immovable property, equally divided into 2. And this part is yours, and I am absolutely sure, depending on this part, you will be able to live an honest, respectable life till the last breath of your life. And she didn't tell anything, she nodded her head. But when the rishi Jaggobalka went to his first wife, what the first wife told? She told, Kasminno bhagavo vigyate sarvamidang vigyatam bhavati iti. What's that phenomenon? By knowing which I know everything in this world and the world hereafter. So that's why spirituality presupposes query, question. I remember a very interesting episode, a real life episode. We had a very last year Swami in the person of Swami Nivedita Maharaj. Those who are here, I am sure many of them must be knowing his name. He was a very, very, great, not only a monk, and academician too. Swami Nivedita used to study in Presidency College in physics, where he used to get the first position and Meghnad Saha used to get the second position. Now Nivedita one fine morning decided to become a monk. And then Meghnad went. Meghnad was very angry that Suryan was his nickname, pre-monastic name. Suryan being such a brilliant student of physics in Presidency College. He has become a monk. He was rudely shocked. One day he went to the ashram. Then he told Suren, I didn't expect it from you. You are a scientist. You could have given so much to the nation by evolving you as a greater scientist. And you have given that path and you have come here. You have run from the society. Then some peasants, tillers, they were tilling fields. So Meghnad Saha was told by Suren Babu, later on Nivedita, that Meghnad, what do you see there ahead? No, some people are tilling the fields. They are farmers. This is a science. Do you believe? Well, yes, I do believe. Well, why do you believe? Because it is verifiable in the laboratory of chemistry. That's why I believe. Hypothesis, experiment, result. That is the way one proceeds in science, physical science. And it's possible there. Here also there is a laboratory, much intense in degree, much deeper in depth, and much meaningful and substantial. You have to go there. You have to go there, carry on the experiment in the same way. Hypothesis, experiment, you will get the result. So this is what Swamiji very much emphasizes. Swamiji says he is the first religious leader in the world, and I don't think any other spiritual leader till today who has said this, that throw the religious theories into the laboratories of science, get it tested. If it stands the test, you accept it, otherwise you reject it and throw it all together into the dustbin of the street. Swamiji's Vedanta, Swamiji's spirituality is as scientific as 1 + 1 makes 2. That's what Vivekananda is. That's why what do we find? We find that Vivekananda's laboratory experiment starts from not from Dakshineshwar, so to say. It starts from Shimla. Starts from, even after then, may we say, from Scottish Church College. His professor, Hesty, who was an admirer of Sri Ramakrishna, he was teaching Wordsworth. In course of teaching Wordsworth, he was mentioning about samadhi, ecstasy. Then one young boy stood up in the class. His name was Narendranath Datta. He told, sir, may I ask you a question? Then the professor told, yes, most welcome. Is there anyone under the sun, even today, who has had this beautiful experience? And Hesty told, yes, there is one Brahmin priest in Dakshineshwar, in the vicinity of Calcutta, and the intensity, the degree is much more intense, degree of ecstasy, and much more frequent than that of Wordsworth. Narendranath went, not as a devotee, not to surrender at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. He went with 3 categorical questions, of which he wanted categorical answer from this old Brahmin priest of Dakshineshwar. He went to Devendranath Tagore. When he asked, sir, is there any God? It's very easy to say. Anyone can say yes or no. Deven Babu told yes. But when the second question came, it was as sharp as bullet to Deven Babu. Have you seen God? Deven Babu couldn't say yes. Deven Babu told, he started scratching his head and told, well, you have the yogi symptoms. If you try, you will be able to succeed. But he could never tell that, yes, I have seen. And the third question was much more challenging. What was that question? Can you show me? I have seen till this you can go. But can you show me? You have to show the God. Show God. I must be face to face with God with your help right now. And when he went to this old Brahmin priest, he told, yes, I have seen God. God is there. I have seen God. And I can see, I see God much more palpably and tangibly than I can see you. Have you helped me in seeing God? Can you show me God? And he took hold of his hand. This young man's hand, this old Brahmin priest of Dakshineshwar took hold of, and he started dragging him. Come to Mother, and I will show you. And that is religion. That is spirituality. Spirituality is not tuk-tak, as they say in Bengali. It's not touch and pass. Somebody brings a sweet or a gold watch from above, and somebody comes, a magician, and he also brings a wristwatch or a sweet from above and presents to the God-man. No, that is not spirituality. That is far from spirituality. Spirituality has only one standard. And that's why nowadays, especially with the advent of Swami Vivekananda, this term has been added to spirituality, and that is scientific spirituality. Now, what is scientific spirituality? What is the problem? That I am not spiritual, you are spiritual. What is the problem? That I do not realize that I am Brahman and you realize it. What is the problem? That I don't see God and you can see it. You apparently is the creation with all the qualities, physical qualities, mental qualities, spiritual qualities that I have, or I do have as you have. But even then, why this distinction? Somebody sees it, somebody doesn't see it. I remember Paul Brunton. Paul Brunton was a man, he was a American journalist. Then he was a literature. He used to go to the church very regularly. And then one day this question came to his mind. Well, I have not seen God, I have not seen Jesus, but if I meet anyone who has seen Jesus, I will die happily thinking that the path I have followed throughout my life is not wrong. Brunton went from church to church and nobody could categorically tell him that, well, I have seen Jesus. Then some brothers of some monastery told that there is one Professor Mahendranath Gupta in Kolkata. He is the head of the department of 5 subjects in Ripon College, and he has seen God. Then Paul Brandt came, contacted Mahendranath Gupta. Those days it was not very difficult to contact Mahendranath Gupta. Mahendranath Gupta especially was the crest jewel of the intelligentsia of the then Bengal. He contacted, and Mahendranath Gupta gave him an appointment on the following Sunday. Well, at 4 p.m., Mahendranath Gupta came, the recorder of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, as you know. He also used to have very long white beard, and then dress attire of a father. He was sitting in a armchair, and Paul came, and Paul was so excited. Coming in his presence, he told, "Sir, have you seen God?" And Professor Mahendranath Datta told, "Do I need declare it at the top of my voice from the terrace?" He told, "Eureka, Eureka. I have seen the right man. Well, following this path, I have not reached the millennium, doesn't matter. But I have walked on the right path." And that's why Swamiji says that, look, spirituality has no retardation. In spiritual life, one must know 2 things. One is, it doesn't have any retardation. In the next part, you start where you stopped in the last part. It's not that you have to start again from beginning. This is number 1. And number two, Swamiji says that everyone, consciously or unconsciously, is marching towards the feet of God. Somebody will come sooner. Somebody will come after getting a few more quicks from the world. That's what Vivekananda says. Christ told, nobody will go hungry. Somebody will get it in the morning, somebody in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna says, Keu na খেয়ে থাকবে না, কেউ সকালবেলা খাবে, কেউ সন্ধ্যাবেলা খাবে. Thus, we all are marching towards the same destination, consciously or unconsciously, because we are spiritual, we are God, but we are not able to understand it because of ignorance. Adhyasa, as I have told you, that darkness we can't see, which is why we don't know who we are. And now, regarding the stage where we become spiritual. We are spiritual always. This is a devolution, this is a voyage, this is a pilgrimage. Pilgrimage from manhood to godhood, and from godhood to the status of what we call Brahman. Brahmavis apnoti param, Brahmavid brahmaiva bhavati. One who is a knower of Brahman, he becomes Brahman itself. And Brahmavid apnoti param, he has the knowledge of every branch of knowledge that is prevalent in the three worlds in the universe. Now, what happens? It doesn't happen in a single day. We start spiritual life, a brahmachari comes to join us, and he's a pre-professional brahmachari well, and the day after he realizes God or he becomes spiritual. No. You must understand three things, because this will be necessary if you want to pursue spiritual life in the way you can afford to do it. Then three things you must know. Number one, sometimes people do come to us, Maharaj, I saw light. Somebody says green light, somebody says red light, somebody says yellow light. Well, that is not God realization, that is cerebral problem. We usually advise them to take nutritious food. Anyway, this is number one, people mistake. There was a brahmachari who joined in Belur Monastery. And then, one day he came to Atmastanandaji, Swami, Satyakrishna Maharaj, Swami Atmastanandaji. You must have heard his name. He was the president of the Ramakrishna order at one point of time. So he came and told Maharaj, I have seen Sri Ramakrishna, I have realized God. Then Atmastanandaji tried his level best to make him see reason that he can't do it, he is not supposed to do it, and he has not done it. Because the first symptom of a person realizing God is he doesn't declare that he has realized God. So anyway, then he was not, susceptible to reason, to logic, to scriptural explanation, and that's why what happened? Atmastanandaji took him to other spiritual personalities, including Vivekananda, but he was not to listen to anybody. Then our Bharat Maharaj was there. You must be knowing Bharat Maharaj. Many of you must have seen Bharat Maharaj. And Bharat Maharaj was a great personality. And Bharat Maharaj told Atmastanandaji, you send him to me. Atmastanandaji told, look, we are here to realize God, and that's why we are in Belur Math. Now that you have realized God, you can get out of Belur Math. So this is nothing but cerebral problem. Then another problem, there is genuine vision. Vedanta believes in karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. You are because you wanted to be. So naturally, without going to the church also, one can have a realization, can have a vision of Sri Ramakrishna or his deity, chosen ideal. Now, when one sees him in vision, he thinks, I have realized God, I have seen God. No, this is also not God realization. This is only a milestone for your onward journey to spiritual millennium, telling you that you are on the right track, you are on the right track, you are on the right track. This is second thing. Third thing is when you really, remember it. Suppose you have a vision at 30, and then you remember it till the last breath of your life. That means it is a genuine vision. This is a milestone. You are going ahead, but at the same time, one must remember that he has not seen God. So these are the different stages. This I am telling because if we really want to be spiritual, if we understand what is spirituality, then we must know all these aspects. And then going to the scientific spirituality, as I understand it, as I have heard it from him and others, it is practical Vedanta as Swamiji told it. It was in 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in a court in Dakshineshwar, and then the tenets of Vaishnava religion was being discussed. And when out of the three aspects of Vaishnava tenets, one aspect was compassion to jivas, compassion to creatures. Sri Ramakrishna entered into a samadhi, and then Sri Ramakrishna, when he came down to the normal plane, he said that people, human beings, they are insignificant creatures. Who are they to do compassion or show compassion to his fellow being? So I told you, say seva, service, you say puja, worship. And then there were few people, but three people have been mentioned in Kathamrita, Bhagat Sri Ramakrishna, Sharat Maharaj, Swami Saradanandaji, Girish Chandra Ghose, G.C., the famous playwright of Bengal, and then also Narendranath Datto. And when they came out of the room, Narendranath Datto embraced G.C. and told G.C., today a new vista has opened up before me. If God gives me opportunity, I will spread it all through the world. And that's what he did in the form of practical Vedanta or scientific religion. Scientific religion is that you do and you get the results. And one day you have to go beyond it. And then you have attained, you are scientific spirituality. Like somebody asked Swami Bhuteshanandaji Maharaj once, some of our monks, that Maharaj, have you seen God? Have you realized God in your life? Bhuteshanandaji in Bengali told, I hope everybody understands it here. In Bengali told, দেখো বাবু ভগবান লাভ বলতে তুমি কি বোঝো আমি বলতে পারছি না, তবে যদি ওই নীলা লালোর কথা বলো আমি কখনো দেখিনি বাপু, তবে এই জীবনটার প্রতি আমার তৃষ্ণাও নেই, আমার বিতৃষ্ণাও নেই. I have no attachment, I have no disgust either, and that is God realization, non-identification with the body-mind complex. And that's why we go step by step. We have 5 sheaths: Pancha Kosha, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, which was being very often referred by the professor, and then Manomaya Kosha. But that is not God realization. If we want to realize God, we have to still, go ahead. Karanamaya Kosha, and then we reach Anandamaya Kosha, then only we can say that Akash Bhara Surjotara Vishwakura Pran. আমি তার মধ্যেই সন্ধান পেয়েছি সেই তত্ত্বের, যাকে আমরা ব্রহ্ম বলি, চৈতন্য বলি, এবং যে তিনিও যা আমিও তাই. বিবেকানন্দ বলছেন, me, Jesus, Buddha are but bird of the same web. You are also part of the same web. That's why our scripture enjoins Tattvamosi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc., etc. And that is the bedrock of scientific spirituality or practical Vedanta, as you say. What is that? That is the entity, the spirituality or the entity which is there in you is also in me. There is only difference in manifestation, degree of manifestation, which is why Vivekananda and me are not same. But there is manifestation of spirituality in me, and there is manifestation of spirituality in Vivekananda. But there are difference in manifestation, degree of manifestation. Which is why Swamiji says that look, standing on the bank of an ocean, You should not prove yourself a fool as to dig for drinking water. There is enough of water in the ocean. Likewise, we are God, and we have identified ignorantly ourselves with body-mind complex. We couldn't proceed further. The Guru has asked the disciple that you should go to the deep forest and do penance and meditate there, and when you realize God, you come back. The disciple is slightly restless. He comes back after 1 year or so, and then when Guru asked, I asked you that you come to me only after realization of God, have you realized God? Well, yes. Guru could understand he has not. He has not. That he says yes, he has not. And naturally, Guru scolded him. But after again 2-3 years, the Shishya came back and he says, now you have realized God? Yes. What is that? Prana. No, you should not show your face to me anymore unless you realize God. Then, this Shishya is not coming and Guru is sitting in the same hermitage, and the Guru was remembering the Shishya time and again after 12 years or 14 years or so. And then he was remembering that what has happened to this young man? Is he still alive? And after 14 years he has come, and then when he stood before the Guru, Guru could understand that he has realized God. And when he asked, have you seen God? Have you realized God? The Shishya was laughing, and Guru could understand, yes, now he has realized God. That's why this is a voyage, and even if we do not realize God in this life, even if we do not become spiritual in its entirety, but we will do it in our next birth. And that's why when Sri Ramakrishna was asked, Swami Vivekananda was asked in the West that who is an avatar? How do we understand that he is an avatar? A beautiful reply Vivekananda immediately gave, Kapalo Mochano. Avatar is the Kapalo Mochano, one who can write off your previous karma and give you mukti. That avatar can do. And then Swamiji also told that when he was asked that what is the name of your Guru, Swamiji, you are such a big scholar, and what is the name of your Guru? Swamiji didn't say Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji says love personified. So the blossoms, the lotus blossoms, and more it blossoms, more love you have. For whom? Not for one with whom you have your blood connection, but for one with whom you don't have any blood connection. And you start loving the entire family, then the society, then the community, then the state, then the country, and it spreads for the entire world. And that's why Swamiji says, the name of my Guru is love personified. And love, selfless love, that is spirituality. And that is the keynote, the key word for what you call scientific spirituality. If you can't love your neighbor, what kind of seva you will do, what kind of worship you will do, what kind of scientific spirituality you will do, you can't. And another thing Swamiji in course of scientific spirituality told, especially the Westerners, that he told, you Westerners, you are standing on a volcano. And then he went on to told that what we want is Western science must be coupled with Eastern Vedanta. Now, how do you really explain it? What exactly Vivekananda visualized and what exactly Vivekananda wanted? Swamiji can be understood if I am not taken otherwise, if I am permitted to say so, by stretching our imagination. Can we stretch our imagination and visualize a boy passing by the busy street of Washington, D.C.? While going, he finds something uncared for lying beside the street. And the box, he goes near and he sees this is a box so dazzling, but with lot of hopes. He thinks that when the box is so dazzling from outside, there must be very costly things inside. But when he opens it, he finds that there is absolutely vacuum inside it. And Swamiji says, Simultaneously, you stretch your imagination to the Orient, a boy, nude, maybe half nude, half fed, totally ignorant, lanky, passing by the ridges of a field. While going by the ridges of a field, he finds something glittering lying uncared for amidst dust. And the boy goes and picks it up. And what he finds? He finds a pearl. Swamiji gives a clarion call to the humanity, to me, to you. Let us undertake this voyage of scientific spirituality. Don't run behind the mirage. You run what is true, what is scientific, what is logical. And that's why Swamiji gives a clarion call to the humanity. If we want a better mankind, if we want a better humanity, then, well, this glittering gold, pearl from the east be kept in the dazzling box of the west, and we have a better mankind. And then Swamiji goes on to say that বহুরূপে সম্মুখে তোমাক ছাড়ি কথা খুঁজিছে ঈশ্বর জীবে প্রেম করে যেই জন সেই জন সেবেছে ঈশ্বর. It is the love, unconditional, unselfish love without expecting anything. It is not shopkeeping, it is not bartering, it is unselfish love. I love you because I want to love you. And in that atmosphere, in that climate, in that condition, practical Vedanta or scientific spirituality is possible. And once we take it up, once we accept it, once we try to reflect it in our individual and community life, in our microscopic and macroscopic life, then I am sure that we are not far from God. God is in heaven, and everything should be right with the world then. With these few words, I must thank Swami Suparnandaji Maharaj for giving me this excellent opportunity to be present here this beautiful evening. I also must say a word of thanks to the members of the board management. I must thank the learned professor who has come all the way from Japan to enlighten us this evening. And my big thank you is for our friend, Honorable Mr. Justice Pinaki Chandra Ghose. I also must thank you for kindly bearing with me for such a long time in the evening today without a word of protest. Thank you so very much.
Our respectful pranams to Revered Maharaj Ji for his presidential speech, and he has made it very clear that spirituality is deeply rooted in our existence. Now, an alumnus of Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit Purulia and the Vice President of the Institute's Managing Committee, Justice Pinaki Chandra Ghose, will now propose vote of thanks, and that will mark the end of this evening's program. Justice Ghose.
We have heard the speech of Professor Roy. Then we have also heard Revered Srimat Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj today on this 85th Foundation Day of this institute. The scientific spirituality equated with the thoughts of Swamiji and realization through knowledge and the ways of voyage we are passing through is the way to reach to the ultimate goal. That was in fact, the speech of the persons who have given here on this occasion today. On behalf of the Institute of Culture, express our gratefulness and thanks to revered Srimat Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj to be the president of this function annual exhibition of this institute today. I also express our gratitude and thanks to Professor Roy today for giving his lecture on that, what is scientific spirituality, how scientific spirituality as advised by Swami Vivekananda can be promoted. We also express our gratitude and thanks to all the members of the Ramakrishna order who are present here. We express our thanks to each one of the persons who are present today on this occasion here in this hall, as well as the staffs and the management who has taken their duties to make this institute's function to a glorious day of the event of 85th Foundation Day on January 29th, 2023. We also expressed our gratitude and thanks to Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj. Under his supervision and his guidance, all these things have been done in this institute today. Our thanks to all the press and the others who are present today. Thanks, and thank you to everyone for being here on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you. This marks the end of this evening's program. Thank you so much.